If you watched the video on Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green versions, then you'd know that I've been playing Pokemon since I was like 5 years old. I'm currently 22, which would mean I've been playing this series for almost 17 years. I find it funny as my dad told me growing up that I would outgrow Pokemon in just a few years, being told this at the age of 14. Well, now here we are. I'm Vivix Tales, this is Backlog Worthy, let's talk about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet versions. Let's start off with those beautiful graphics that Generation 9 has to offer. Comparing it with the last mainline video games, Pokemon Sword and Shield, the graphics have gotten a lot better. My best example would be the sprite used for Charizard. Our boy looks like an actual Pokemon compared to what he previously looked like. The world around you also seems like it's much more full of life compared to the previous generation. The world around you is populated with all these big and small creatures that you can imagine. It feels like Professor Oak is finally telling you the truth when he says, "Welcome to the world of Pokemon." While you're looking at the screen, let's talk about one of the main things you look at during your entire playthrough of Scarlet and Violet: your character. You're a student at one of the two academies, and you have to wear a school uniform. It does feel like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet take a step forwards when it comes to how the main characters look, but a step backwards when it comes to the customization of them. You're stuck with only 4 different outfits, one for each season. Outside of that, you're able to buy some new clothes like socks, shoes, and backpacks. If you wanted to wear a hat, good luck with that. Depending on which hairstyle you decide to choose, you may not be able to wear that cool hat you wanted. I learned that one the hard way. There are some other characters in the game besides you. Some of them were decent, some of them were less than, and others were amazing. Nimona and Arven come to mind when I think of decent characters. I thought Nimona was a fun rival who just loved to battle. I really enjoyed her hyping me up every time I defeated her, letting me know that I was starting to get on her level. Arven, on the other hand, was less of a battler and more of an emotional heartbreak of character. After seeing him trying to save his dying dog Pokemon, I had to do something to help Arven. I didn't really care for Penny though, or any of the Team Star characters really. I understand that they formed this group because they were being bullied, but it got to the point where it was their personality. Now, the best character would have to be the professors, but I'll leave that explanation for later in this video. Even the music for this game is amazing. Some of the tracks are just remixes of older tracks like usual, but there are a lot of songs in this that are pretty original, and I would listen to them on repeat. Just listen to this one. That was the Area Zero theme, the music for the final place you journey to on your adventure throughout the Paldea region. This was the kind of music that I would expect to hear while playing Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, but I'm glad it's in a Pokemon game. It really just makes you stand there and take everything in, to try and enjoy what is around you. Terastallizing is the gimmick for this game, and I think is a pretty good one. Compared to Sword and Shield's Dynamax, this one blows it right out of the water. If a Pokemon terastallizes, they can change into a whole new type, and that can change the tide of the battle if you're not careful. And when it comes to Terra raids, I like them a lot more than the Den raids in Sword and Shield. Scarlet and Violet's raids have 2 things going for it. They are less drawn out, and the surrounding area looks a lot nicer than the previously mentioned raids. At least to me. Whatever direction Game Freak is going when it comes to the Pokemon games, they should keep pushing it in that direction. First with Pokemon Legends Arceus, and then again with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet versions, they are spoiling us with an open world. With there being no set path for the player to follow, the paths you can take are almost endless. In my playthrough, I kept finding new areas that I overlooked or just straight up never went to, even with me being in almost 60 hours in. Hell, I didn't get my 3rd gym badge until I was 20 hours in, with about 200 Pokemon in my Pokedex. Since day one, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has had its fair share of problems and bugs. One of the biggest ones had to be the fact that the game hit frame rate drops quite a bit. Depending on where you were and what was happening in the area, you can see frame rates of anywhere between 10 and 30 FPS. Now, this is on my launch Switch, and could not tell you if this happens on any other version of it. A lot of the bugs in this game are funny, like Pokemon sliding off the edge of a cliff during a battle. Some of them aren't too funny though. The main one happened to me was during the Charizard Terra Raid, where one-shotting the Pokemon would not matter, because it was always going to get its health back. It's frustrating to say the least, but I hope it gets fixed. As the player, it is your job to go on a treasure hunt throughout Paldea. The treasure hunt is whatever you want it to be, whether it's completing the Pokedex, becoming the champion, or felling a Titan Pokemon. The choice is yours. There are 3 main storylines in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Defeating all the gym leaders and becoming champion, defeating all of the Titan Pokemon and curing your friend's dog, or disbanding a group of school kids. I found all the routes to be fun besides the Team Star route. There was just something about it I didn't care for. When all of these routes are complete, you and your friends have the chance to go to Area 0, the most difficult area in the region by far. Down there, you start to discover and understand what happened to either Professor Sada or Turo. They had ended up passing after bringing either Koraidon or Miraidon into this point in time. In their place is a robot that has all of their memories. And now it is your job to stop this time machine and prevent even more Paradox Pokemon from joining your world. To do this, you need to stop the AI professor, who acts as a protocol protection for the time machine. This has to be my favorite part in the game by far, because it had me grinning from ear to ear during the entire cutscene. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have a lot of things going for it. I'll even say it's my favorite Pokemon game since Heart Gold and Soul Silver, games that came out almost 13 years ago. This game gets a 9 out of 10 for me, despite the bugs and the flaws that it had at launch, and still has to this day. It's honestly been one of my best experiences playing a video game this year.